On this YouTube channel, I made a video about how to find and how to create a good webinar hosting space. So let's say that you have that space, you thought about the electricity, you made it your own, you taped your square on the ground. Let's say you already have some equipment, and what's next? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video, because in this video, I will share 5 amazing tips for studio management. Starting with number 1, make it easy for yourself and maybe think about others. And I specifically say and maybe think about others because it is a maybe question. Maybe you work with multiple people, or if you do it all by yourself, you still need to think about others, because let's say that you have created your studio setup and now you have to explain it to something who isn't as text heavy as you are. Well, I realized that sometimes that can be a bit of a struggle, because yes, that cable goes in there and then there, but then when you explain it to that person, you realize, but hey, isn't it easier to do it like this or like that and things? A great example, a live example even, are our two Let Go E2680 bicolor lights. That is the lights that I always use for recording YouTube videos and webinars. And to connect the two lights, I have a power strip right below the desk. I have a power strip. And of course, for me, there is my light to the right and there is my light to the left. Now, what I did is in that power strip, I made sure that the left cable is on the most left side of the power strip. And for the right light, I've set it all the way to the right side of the power strip. So when one light goes off, I don't need to think, oh wait, which cable was the one for the right? No, because I instantly know, okay, there's my right light, there's the right side of the power strip, that is the cable that isn't working. And that's just one of many examples on how you can make things easy for yourself and also for others. Because right now, if I have to explain this lighting situation to somebody else, it is very easy, because left light, left power strip, right light, right power strip. And side note still for tip 1 is one thing that is also very handy to make it easy for yourself is to not change too much behind the scenes. So right now over there is my director's booth, as I call it. There is the ATEM, there is our Scarlett audio interface, there's the computer, and that doesn't go anywhere. And not the cables don't go anywhere, the cables are even taped right below the director's desk, just to keep things the same. And if you keep everything the same, it will be easier for you and also easier for others. So now, on to tip number 2. Tip number 2, have a similar, new or better backup. And yes, this also comes from experience, because I visited a lot of studios, of course, because of my job, and I have heard this too many times. Hey, we have this awesome, great new microphone, which is like the best top-notch microphone, and if it doesn't work, we have a very small old one that we can use in case the new awesome cool one breaks or something or doesn't work. We still have the old-fashioned one that we used for many years and that we can rely on. Well, for me as a broadcast operator, that doesn't give me confidence enough, because as some of you already know, when you are in a live situation and something goes wrong, especially behind the scenes, there is one thing that you want, and that is confidence in your equipment. So when the new one breaks down or doesn't work or something, don't use an old one, because already it's just it's not entertaining to watch a presenter like me. Let's say my audio broke down and then I'd say, yeah, well, we do have this smaller microphone and let's see if it works. And if it doesn't work, it just isn't giving you the professional look that you and your webinar deserves. So that's why I always say, hey, if you have an awesome new microphone, buy 2, because if this one doesn't work, you can always use the same new good microphone, so you don't have to fall back on something that is somewhat old, somewhat reliable. You're not even sure if your backup works. So please, if you ask me, I would either say use the old mic, and if the old mic breaks down, then you have a brand new good microphone that you know is going to work because it's just new. So don't use an older, slightly less quality microphone if your good new microphone breaks down. Buy 2 good new microphones and don't fall back on something old that is slightly already on the verge of breaking down. Just because it works doesn't mean it's good or better. And especially if something goes wrong in your webinar, you really want from that point on that your webinar goes perfectly. and with an awesome, strong, new, similar backup to the microphone that you have, is a great advantage if that ever happens. Number 3, keep it nice and tidy. Huh? Oh, we are recording. Yeah, so this next one, number 3, is one that's probably very obvious, but that is keep it nice and tidy. Because as a broadcast operator and as well as a presenter, there is nothing better than just going inside of a studio knowing that everything is clean, nothing is greasy, there is no dust and there is no dirt, it's just all clean. There is no trash on the floor, so there isn't a box over there and there isn't laying some trash over there. Of course, in this studio, nothing is here, so it's all clean, it's all beautiful black carpets, which I cleaned, of course, by the way, I vacuumed yesterday. But no, so that is of course a very great tip as well. But it's also a great tip, like I said, for the presenter, for your mind, because if you are hosting a webinar, you don't want to get distracted by, oh, I didn't clean, or is my background okay? Just keep it all nice and tidy and clean up afterwards, because right now, the only trash that's here is the paper that I just threw away, which of course, right after this shot, I'm going to clean as well. So if you keep it nice and tidy and you keep everything clean, it's also much better for your equipment, of course, since there is no dust inside of it, no grease inside of it, and no dirt, and nothing else. And if something does happen, because as I mentioned in the webinar hosting space video, if you do make a mess, and you do make a mess for your webinar, great, beautiful, perfect. It was probably a very funny or awesome or great moment in your webinar, but do keep your studio nice and tidy and clean. So afterwards, please clean up. Because also, if you're hosting a webinar and you do some crazy things, it is also nice to know that you can do those crazy things because there is nothing else around you that is dirty or something. So, of course, keep your studio nice, tidy and clean. Tip number 4. Cable management. Of course, Presentation Walter is a big fan of cable management, but I think there is one other person who is standing over there who knows a lot more about cable management and of course can actually demo you. And of course I'm talking about Demo Walter. Yes, thank you Presentation Walter for giving me the demo about cable management. However, I do have a tip for you, Presentation Walter, and that is please iron your shirt. I know this is a video about studio management, but clothing is still important, so for the next time, please iron your shirt. Thank you. Alright, so on to the tip about cable management. And just as Presentation Walter said, it is one of my expertises and it is something that I can talk a lot about, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to keep it very simple and just show you the examples on how to work with cable management. First of all, I have a cable right here who is perfectly tied by me, of course. And I know that because if I unravel this cable tie made out of Velcro, we'll be talking about that in just a bit, but if I let go of this cable and I throw it out a bit, it is perfectly fine and there are no nuts or anything else with this cable. So the first step before we are going to talk about cable ties is how to actually wrap your cable. And this is the way how I learned it from my broadcast operations education, but I do know on the internet there are a lot of people who might do it differently, but for now I'm just going to show you my way. First of all, you have in my case, my left hand is open. You put the cable in your palm like so, and then with your other hand, grab the cable and just pull it towards, as you can see, it is already there, and you just pull it towards your hand and then you can hold it with your thumb. For the next tie, so to say, or for the next revolution, I think it's even called, you put the cable between your thumb and your pointing finger, between your thumb and your pointing finger, and then you twist it with those two fingers. So this is still here, you just have an open palm with the cable there, and then you just twist so that your hands will look like this. And then you grab the cable, you put it around the same height, that's just because of the way I like it, and there you have it. And then you just go all the way to there, next one, pointing finger, thumb, you turn it, like so. You grab it and then you tighten it up a little bit. And then you do that all the way through. As such, and then the final one doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be a full cycle or cycle, yeah. So, and then when you have something that looks like this, and if you've done it correctly, and I'm going to show you right now, once again, if I throw the cable, you will see that there are no knots and it isn't all messed up, so to say. And that is how you can wrap your own cable. And once again, you just have an open palm, you just turn it around, thumb and pointing finger, you turn this like so, and then you just go all the way until you reach the end of your cable. And if you think, well, that is a little bit much for cable wrapping, no, it is not. There are actually broadcast competitions on who can wrap the cable the fastest and the most tidy. And after that, I'm going to grab my Velcro cable tie, put it around the cable, and there you go. All nice and tidy with no knots. And that is how you can wrap your cable. Now that you know how you can wrap your cable, it is time to talk about cable ties. And the first one I'm going to show you is the one that I just used on my micro HDMI cable, for which we connect our cameras to the 8 mini switcher. But the one that I used are ones of Velcro, and these are these. And the cool thing about these is they come in a very small package. Once you open them, you can just rip one off, or two, just like I did, as such. But for now, of course, we only need one. And then there we go. And as you already noticed, these are of Velcro. This is the shape, and there is a tiny sort of hole here. And I'm going to show you, well, there's already one here, but just for the demo. The cool thing about that small hole that I just showed you is this. So for now, I have my Velcro cable. I'm going to put it around the cable as such, and then put the end of the Velcro cable tie right through there. Pull it through as such, and then there you go. And since it's all Velcro, it can all connect to each other. And then you will have a Velcro cable tie that is always stuck to your cable so you don't lose it. So there's no possibility for your cable to be terribly wrapped. And I'm going to say it right now, as a broadcast operator, I've experienced this a little bit too many times, and even when I'm doing it wrong, I have a good conversation with myself. But please, please, please find something to wrap your cables and to tie your cables very properly, because there is nothing worse than grabbing a cable and it's connected to 6 other cables because you didn't do your cable management properly enough. With that said and done, let's move on to the other cable ties. And speaking of Velcro, you can also buy this. This is a very large roll of just Velcro, so to say. And the cool thing about this is that you can cut this off. And I already cut off a piece like such, because this is, I think, how many meters of Velcro is this? It doesn't matter for now, because you can cut it. And if you cut it, you can also tie your cable like so, so it isn't connected to your cable. Now, why would you use this? I use this for, as presentation Walter said, for our director's booth, because we have a lot of equipment there and a lot of cables there. And if the cables are all just hanging loose behind the studio desks, it's not very comfortable for me, and I don't know which cable is which. So if I have a lot of cables for equipment that stays in the same place, I usually wrap them with one of these, just so there is like, it looks like one very big cable instead of 4 or 5 little ones. With that said and done, it is time to go away from the Velcro for a bit and talk about this. These are garden ties. You can buy it in a roll, just like with the Velcro, you can buy it in a roll, and a lot of rolls even have a cutter for it. And as the name suggests, it isn't called studio ties, but it is called, garden ties or plant ties, I believe even. And that's, if you take a good look at it, these, well, a lot of them are black, but this one is green of course because of the plants. And when you have wrapped your cable, you can also use one of these. This is a garden tie or a twist tie, and the reason it's called a twist tie is because once you've wrapped it around your cable, your wrapped cable, please wrap your cables, you guys, and then you can just put it, and then you can just twist, twist, and twist, and twist, and it's secured as well. Now, if you don't know what a twist tie or a plant tie or garden tie is, I also have a black one, and that might look familiar because if you buy anything with a cable, like your iPhone cable or your Samsung cable or your whatever cable, it usually comes wrapped with one of these. So I highly recommend that you save these. Then I don't have an example right now, but I will show you a PNG file right next to me, and that's because you also have these rubber cable ties, and these are used a lot, at least I know in Dutch broadcasting. In Dutch we call them Jan Willempjes, but in Dutch or in English you can just call them rubber or silicone cable ties, and then you will find it. Once again, here is a picture. And then the final thing about cable management that I want to talk about today is taping your cables to the ground so people don't trample and fell over them. And for that I have grabbed a beautiful paper with a black line suggesting a cable, which as I see right now I didn't put slightly in the middle. I'm sorry for those with OCD, but I do want to talk about how to properly secure and tape your cables to the ground. So once again, this is the ground and this is the cable, and you need 4 pieces of tape. So I have very good black tape because everything in our studio is black. So what you do is you grab 1 large piece of cable, you rip it off, and then you put it slightly over the middle of your cable. Oh, you can't even see the cable anymore. You put it slightly over the half of your cable like so. And then also on the other half. Please also make sure that this is around the same length because it just looks nicer if you are shooting an after movie. Been there too many times as well. Then you just cut it and then you put it over the other half of your cable. So right now it looks like this. So please imagine that in the middle right here is a black cable. And then for the ultimate security, you also have a smaller piece of tape. And then you put one over the top like so, so you have this T shape. And then of course you already guessed it, you also put one at the bottom. And then you have your cable secured, and please imagine that there is a cable right here in the middle. And that is how you can tape your cables to the ground, how you can wrap your cables, and a lot of different types of cable ties. Once again guys, please wrap your cables and please make it secure and don't have any knots in your cables, because as you see it is just a cool idea to just throw your cable out and that doesn't have any knots or anything. So that is it for the cable management. Back to presentation Walter for the final part of this video. Tip number 5, make it personal and be there. Like I just told you, our director's booth is right over there, and since I'm sort of the director for almost every webinar that we host, I usually sit over there for our webinars or other online events. And besides me are 2 black walls, so I thought, hey, let's just make it more personal, make it more fun, make it a little bit more me, since of course I'm the director, and let's make it a little bit more playful and exciting to be there. So what did I do first? I hung up my own business card, just a business card. I just taped it to the black wall, and then I realized, hey, we also have some flyers. Of course, at WebinarGeek we go to a lot of events, and I thought, hey, let's put on some flyers there. And then I found a German flag, a small German flag. I don't know if you know, fun fact about me, I have some German roots that I'm very proud of. So I just hung up a small German flag over there. And then when I was a little kid, I had a small number plate from Germany, which has my name on it. I brought it from home and put it as well over there. So that is a pretty nice, playful wall. So even when I'm directing and I have 2 screens, I have my ATEM switcher here, I have the interface below there, the desktop computer is there, and there's a lot of, you know, stressy things right happening before the webinar, because of course it is. And then I thought, hey, let's make it a little bit more playful. So when I look to my right, I see my business card, I see our WebinarGeek flyers, I see a German flag, and then it's just a little bit more playful and a little bit less like I'm sitting there in this black box. Another thing, of course, the other part is be there. Of course, if you are a studio manager like me, one of the best things that you can do is just be here. Be here and look at it. Just look at what you've created, because I also set this studio up myself. So I did all the electricity, I put the lights up there. I even painted our green screen Showtime blue because that is our color. I've created this current YouTube setup, so I'll be here a lot of the times. And I think it's good that I'll be here, because when I look up, I thought, hey, I haven't looked at the electricity cables for a long time, so maybe that needs some changes. And if you are there and you give it attention, it becomes even more a part of you. And of course, if it's a part of you, it's a very big part of your webinars as well. And if you have a very, very good studio that you created all by yourself and you put in a lot of attention, of course, the webinars will be better simply because you put more attention to it, even if it's behind the scenes and not many people will know. You know, and in your mind you will know, hey, I spent so much time on creating this studio space. I've done so much time on studio management. I've bought such awesome equipment. So let's create the very, very best webinars that the world has ever seen. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video and you want to know more about webinars, on how to host them, what gear to use, and what it's like to work at a tech startup, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click like on this video and hit that notification bell. And let me know, what is your favorite studio management tip? Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye! And now it's time to pick up that dirty piece of cloth over there.